All right, good evening and welcome everyone to this Planning Committee meeting, Thursday the 9th of October, the first one to be held in our new council chamber, so I bid you all a very warm welcome. My name's Caleb Tomlinson, I'm the councillor for Banbury West and I am also the chair of the Planning Committee. I'd like to offer a warm welcome to Councillor James Gleeson, whose first Planning Committee meeting this is, who underwent his dramatic training this afternoon and is replacing Peter Gabbett, who I wish a speedy recovery. Okay, committee members and members of the public, you are reminded that this meeting is being streamed live to YouTube. If you're attending the meeting because you're a member of the public who has registered to speak, you have a time limit of 4 minutes. You will be timed and I will confirm when 4 minutes runs out. You should then finish and make your final comments. There's a table for members of the public in the corner and you just come up to the table, introduce yourself and press the speak button. Okay, voting will be undertaken by the electronic system and the outcome of the vote will also be shown on the screens around the room and confirmed by our legal officer Alex once completed. If you've got mobile phones with you this evening, please can you put them on silent or switch them off. We're not anticipating a fire drill, so if the alarm goes off, the fire exits are there. You know where it is, don't you? Let the public go first, please. Okay, just before I ask everyone to introduce themselves, I just want to put it out there that this committee runs by the National Planning Policy Framework and by the local plan. I've been a councillor for 16 years and I have never once seen a brown envelope being passed to a councillor. And anyone who puts that out on social media should be disgusted with themselves, or if they have some kind of evidence, go to the police. Okay? I will now ask everyone to introduce themselves, starting with the lady on my left.
Good evening, Elizabeth Thornber, Head of Planning and Enforcement.
Good evening, Elaine Stringfellow, Councillor for Lostock Hall.
Good evening, Debbie Roberts, Development Management Team Leader.
Good evening, Lisa Mathewson, Senior Planning Officer.
Good evening, Councillor Mary Green, Councillor for Moss Side and Midge Hall.
I am Keith Martin, elected member for Middlefirth.
Damien Bretherton, representing Walton Liddell West.
Good evening, Councillor Peter Pillinger, representing Buckshaw and Worden Ward.
Chris Lomax, Walton Liddell East.
Angela Turner, Broad Oak, Penwitham.
Councillor James Gleeson, Count Green, Gregson Lane.
Councillor Phil Smith, I represent New Longton and Hutton East and I've been a councillor 20 years and I can confirm I have never ever received a brown envelope of any sort. I don't know where that's come from, Chair, but there we go. Thank you.
Good evening, Coral Asprey, Democratic and Member Services Officer.
Good evening, Alex Jackson, Solicitor.
Okay, thanks everyone for that. Thank you, Councillor Bretherton, for subbing for Councillor Molyneux this evening. So we can forget apologies. Do we have any declarations of interest this evening? No, okay. So move on to item number 4 this evening. It's the minutes of the meeting held on the 11th of September. I wasn't on committee that evening, but I did watch on YouTube, even though I was on holiday. Sad, isn't it? And as the Constitution dictates, I can propose the minutes. Could I have a seconder, please? Councillor Smith, thank you very much.
I'll second that, Chair. Thank you.
Can we go to the electronic vote on that, please?
Thank you, Chair. Members have voted to approve the minutes of the last meeting with 1 abstention.
Okay, thanks very much. Can we move on to appeal decisions, please? Lizzie, can we have an update, please?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, there was 2 appeals this committee to report. The first one was for an appeal for permission in principle for up to 3 dwellings on Newgate Lane in Whitestake. In this appeal, the inspector found the site lies within the Greenbelt and the proposal did not meet exceptions under the revised NPPF. It was not considered limited infilling in a village and there was no demonstrable unmet housing need. The development would harm the openness of the Greenbelt, contribute to urbanisation and fail to safeguard the countryside from encroachment. The inspector concluded that very special circumstances did not justify the proposal. The second one was on Marsh Lane in Longton, and this appeal was to remove a condition restricting permitted development rights, which was dismissed. The inspector found that the condition was necessary and reasonable to protect the openness of the Greenbelt, given the dwelling already exceeds local guidance on size. Removing the condition would allow further development that would harm the character of the site and the surrounding area. The decision supports the Council's approach to managing incremental growth in sensitive locations. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thanks, Lizzie. That's more good news. Okay, can we move on to item agenda number 6 on this evening, Tesco Leyland Extra, Towngate Leyland. And Debbie, would you introduce this item, please?
Thank you, Chair. Okay, the application is for erection of a Class EB restaurant and a takeaway drive-through pod with associated car park and landscaping. The site itself is a small site to the southwest corner of Tesco car park on Towngate in Leyland. Excuse me. Adjacent on the western boundary is Leyland Leisure Centre, which sits at a lower land level. It's protected by Armcord barriers. There's a petrol filling station next to the Leisure Centre, which is at the junction of Lancaster Gate with the Tesco car park's northwest access. Police station, law courts and the library face the northwest access off Lancaster Lane at around 80 metres. Excuse me. And beyond the Leisure Centre are Woodley and St Andrews primary schools and the RAF cadet cabin. None of those 3 are visible from the site. Immediately east and north are deep areas of Tesco car park. This is the store itself. And bordering on the southern boundary, there is deep shrubbery, a wide grass bund and close boarded fences, roughly about 2 metres high. Now they separate the rear of properties on Fox Lane, which sit across Woodley Road. Fox Lane properties all have deep rear gardens on this side. Site's not in a flood zone or an air quality management area, but it is in the secondary retail frontage as allocated by policy E3 Leyland Town Centre of the local plan. I'll go into that in a little bit. Excuse me. Okay, the proposal is for erection of a restaurant takeaway drive-through pod with car parking and landscape alterations. It will be suggested to be operated by a Burger King. An element of the restaurant, and there is an element of restaurant and takeaway, so we're suggesting a combined EB, sale of food and drink for consumption mostly on the premises, and sui generis hot food takeaway use class. Access will be via the existing car park. To serve the proposal, there will be 2 drive-through roads which run round the pod and exit into one road into the main car park. Apart from some pedestrian crossings and the car park for the proposal itself, no other alterations are suggested for the main car park. This dual layout aids car park management and reduces queuing in the main car park. In terms of parking, there are currently 598 spaces. There will be a loss of 99 when you factor in the 11 dedicated parking spaces for Burger King. They would also have service vehicle parking. Lancaster County Council have no objection because the car park's so big, but also because the development area is underused. It currently houses charity bins, so it's not accessible for parking anyway. Landscaping, the site is hard standing. There is no soft landscaping within the proposal site boundaries. To the south, which is inside and beyond screen fencing but not within the site boundary, there is deep shrubbery. That won't be affected. One small tree will come out. It's a self-seeded tree and the arborist hasn't got a problem with that. He's no objection. In terms of light and noise, there is no high-level lighting proposed, just lights from adverts that will be subject to a separate application, and from inside the store. There are no windows on the southern elevation facing residential on Fox Lane. All the windows face the car park or the leisure centre. I'll show you the elevations in a minute. Similarly, noise emission from the store, the order hatch speakers and the traffic would be well contained behind the shrubbery and the hedgerow along Fox Lane boundary. The speakers would actually face the side of the leisure centre away, so they'd be muffled. Excuse me. Nevertheless, we've put conditions on for noise and opening hours to control that site use. They're recommended. Okay, the actual proposal itself, it's part single, part 2-storey height rectangular building. There's bin store and plant rooms. It's 2-storey height, but there's only one floor for customers. It's a 30 metre by 12.8 metre footprint with a staggered flat roof height up to a maximum of 5.8 metres. That's roughly the height of a bungalow. It will be finished in grey brown timber cladding and designed to secure by design standards in consultation with Lancashire Constabulary. I spoke to them separately about that. And there will be a small seating area on the outside which would face the petrol. It would face towards the petrol filling station on the northern side. It would take roughly 70 covers, so 50 to 60 inside, 10 to 15 outside. Customer order and collection hatches are on the western side between the unit and the leisure centre, so away from residential. Opening hours are suggested at 8 in the morning till 11 p.m. 7 days a week, and the site would employ 35 full-time equivalent. In context, Tesco's is 6 in the morning rather than 8, closes at midnight Monday to Saturday, and it's 11 in the morning till 5 on a Sunday. So Tesco's has longer hours Monday to Saturday. In summary, the western elevation on the top is the side with the drive-through and the service hatches. That faces sides on to the leisure centre. The northern side is the entrance and seating area which faces the petrol filling station and the car park. The southern backs onto residential on Fox Lane, but it is a service space and it has no windows. And the east faces Tesco and the car park. Just a few photographs, not too many. This is a site view from the north. The red dotted edge is very roughly where the site and its access and its roads would be. Leisure centre's on the right and the residential is behind these trees and shrubbery. There's a deep grass bund here, roughly where these vans are. This is the site viewed from the eastern side, so Tesco's is behind the camera. Residential on the left behind the trees, you can see this deep bund. The pod would align with the leisure centre, so it will be here where my cursor is. This is the eastern end of Woodley Road, so Tudor House and Leyland Cross are behind the camera. Proposal site behind the trees, aligning with this leisure centre, which is here, and residential is on the left. Woodley Road is between those properties and the site. And this is the site view from the western side of Woodley Road. I'll show you, there is another photograph after this. This is the dense shrubbery. You can see the bund, and the site would be behind this. The school is on the left-hand side in the RAF cabin. And the same view, but it shows the distance and the screening between the site and the rear of Fox Lane properties. As you can see, they've all got deep back gardens. The closest is 87 metres away and the furthest is 134 metres away. And one last view, this is from the proposal site towards Tesco. So it's a fair old distance. We have no statutory objections. We've got representation in support and against. They're noted in your report. One thing that I think is important to note, there is some discussion in social media and in representation about a decision made for another scheme recently by committee for a hot food takeaway, which was refused. That was refused because of proximity of the takeaway to schools and because of local child obesity rates. It was outside of a town centre. This is very, very different. This proposal is in the town centre. Local Plan Policy E3, Leyland Town Centre, supports development such as this in the town centres, and where it is in a town centre, obesity rates and proximity to schools aren't relevant and shouldn't be used as a reason to refuse this alone. So, just want to bear in mind. Because of that, and as the scheme's fully compliant in terms of national and local policy, we would recommend approval with conditions. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thanks for your presentation, Debbie. I'll also add to that each application should be viewed on its own merits. Each application is completely different. Okay, we have some registered speakers wishing to speak on this application. Do we have Mr. David Walmsley, please? Hello, Mr. Walmsley. If you come to the public desk.
And press the button.
If you press the speak button and address committee, you have 4 minutes, okay?
Right. Chair, committee, thank you very much. If there's one thing we don't need on Tesco car park, it's a takeaway. And takeaways, or drive-through restaurants, as they like to call them, generate one thing more than anything else. They generate litter. When people shop or dine at one of these places, everything is overpackaged, everything is in cardboard, and what do people do, especially using it as a drive-through? They eat the food and discard the rubbish out the car window. This can only lead to nuisance, and not only are we talking about cardboard and paper, we're talking about discarded food. And when we talk about discarded food, we're talking about rats. And the approach to the site at the back of the leisure centre can only be seen as a highway for feral dogs, cats and rats. So my argument is the planning request should be refused on that basis, if for no other. Thank you.
Okay, thanks for that, Mr. Walmsley. Do we have a Mrs. Eileen Nevin with us this evening? Mrs. Nevin? Sorry, Mac Nevin, sorry about that. I have got my readers on, I just misread it.
Is it on now? It turns red, yeah. I've lived in my house 50 years and I'm on Sandy Lane, and the rubbish that we get on Church Road from the school children is quite bad, and the rubbish that we get at the back of Tesco's when people eat things is bad. But I don't think we need another takeaway. We have a chip shop that smells all week, and it permeates my house. You know, I can always tell when they're ready for changing the oil because it smells worse. And it's very detrimental to a peace-loving, you know, environment. And like I said, I've lived there 50 years, had 2 children in my back bedroom and brought 3 children up there. And I just think it will bring the pleasantness of the area down, because Tesco's has been there 23 years. And the car park was given to the people of Leyland to use, and now they're going to start charging you if you're on there longer than a certain amount of time, which is not going to be good for the people of Leyland. So it's going to be very difficult, and they put barriers up and they don't engage them now. So I think it won't do anybody in Leyland any good having a Burger King in the car park.
Okay, thanks, Mrs. McNevin. And do we have a Mr. Alan English? Yeah. So if you press the red button, Mr. English, you have 4 minutes, okay?
Okay, good evening, everyone. Okay, so I'm going to object on the grounds of noise pollution. And I'm a resident that backs onto this site. And actually, Debbie mentioned 80 to 100 and odd yards from the building. Actually, it's this traffic that I'm bothered about and the noise pollution created from this traffic. That greenery and shrubbery is not a barrier to noise, and I'll explain explain why in a moment. We live in this conservation area, and it's a conservation area for a reason. Our houses have stood proud for over 200 years, and it's our duty to look after those. And I had to jump through hoops recently just to replace some wooden windows exactly like for like. And you're proposing letting them build this monstrosity. It just doesn't fit. I know it's not in the conservation belt, but it backs right onto our houses. And they are literally a few yards away. They're not 80, 90 yards away. These cars are going to be right on top of us. So my main objection is on the ground of noise, nuisance and pollution, which will have a huge detrimental impact on residents' enjoyment of their home life. It's a really busy thoroughfare on Fox Lane, and all our residents, we knew that when we bought those houses, and we accept that. But our houses are Grade 2 listed. We can't put in all these modern building structures that help to dampen the noise like modern builds can do. But we put up with that. I think it's so unfair that we also have to now start putting up with that at the back of our houses. As you mentioned, we've got quite long gardens, and for 6 or 7 months of the year, those gardens are a real haven for most of us. The birdsong is incredible that we get in those gardens, and it's a joy to be around in spring and summer and early autumn. You can barely hear the traffic on Fox Lane when you're in those back gardens. So for half of the year, you know, we're okay with all that, but we have to contend with Fox Lane. The least we deserve is to have to contend with this nuisance behind us from 8 a.m. to 11 p.m. You know, and as David talked about animals, I think we're going to lose the birds as well, you know, and a lot of us really care about that. The noise carries really well. Fox Lane Sports Club, the cricket ground, is over 100 metres away from our house. When we're out in spring and summer, we can hear them appealing for catches and wickets and everything. And it's a wonderful thing to hear. It's part of being British, I guess. And we want to preserve that. But that's going to be dampened by the hum of these cars. But worse still, the music that's going to be belting out from these cars. A couple of years ago, we had some real problems in this bottom corner of this car park where the proposed site is. There were not a big group of youngsters gathering in the cars, blasting out music at all hours, mainly late at night. It's going to be repeating all over again. It took the police and Tesco's an age to get rid of that, and it really got to some of our residents, you know, some of our neighbours, kind of mental health and whatever. They really suffered. In the backs of those houses, you can hear all the noises that are going on the back. Once they stopped all that traffic a couple of years ago, it's all settled again, and it's a haven again. It's a conservation area, and we should preserve that conservation area. The noise carries so well, and as a resident here for 15, 16 years, those trees do not dampen that sound. When those cars were there,
Mr. English, you need to start tying up because you've had 4.5 minutes, okay?
Okay, so as I say, the main thing that I'm proposing against this is down to noise pollution and the impact that that's going to have on all the residents in this locality, even though the building is slightly away. And on top of that, there's going to be an outdoor seated area as well. That noise will carry. Doesn't matter what side of the building that is on. That noise is going to be a real nuisance from cars and music and people blasting out. And do we really need another takeaway in Leyland at the side of a health centre? Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Mr. English, for your presentation. Just before I bring the ward councillor in, who's joined us on Teams this evening, because he is lost in France somewhere apparently, I'm going to bring in Debbie Roberts to answer some of those points that were put by the members of the public. Thanks, Debbie.
Thank you, Chair. Just to clarify a few points, excuse me, Litter, there is an approved, subject to your decision tonight, waste management plan. Environmental health are satisfied with that. There is also a noise impact assessment which environmental health have looked at and are comfortable with. In terms of traffic noise, Lancashire County Council have assessed it and don't have an issue. They feel that the additional traffic for this won't be much different to the existing car parking space. And then there are 101, I think, 110 from memory being lost, so there potentially 110 parking spaces could be used and traffic that passes through them. Conservation area, this property, as I've already described, would be a bungalow height property behind high hedges, high fence and the grass bund. It wouldn't be visible from the conservation area, but we have done a full assessment of the heritage side of things. And it doesn't, the impact on the conservation area, in officers' opinion, doesn't warrant refusal. And just to make members aware, I'm sure you're already aware, competition isn't a material consideration in this determination. So that's one off the table. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thanks for that, Debbie. Okay, I'm now going to bring in the ward councillor, Councillor Hayden Williams. Good evening, Councillor Williams. Can you hear me?
I can, yes, Chair. Can everybody hear me?
Yes, we can. Well, just about. Yeah, we can. If you can get closer to your microphone, that would help.
I'll try and speak up, and I'll speak as slow as I can. For those in the audience, I'm the ward councillor for Leyland Central, and I'm normally a member of the planning committee. But as already mentioned, I'm unfortunately unable to be there in person tonight and help decide on this application. But I can still give my views as ward councillor. This is always going to be a contentious application, but there are a few points about this application in the report I'd like to talk about. The first issue is that of the potential of the site to increase antisocial behaviour. It will have come to everyone's notice that the level of antisocial behaviour across the whole of the town has been increasing to levels that our local police force are struggling to cope. And this is one of the main issues that residents of the town centre and surrounding wards contact us about. The two current sites with, I believe, the worst reputation for this are McDonald's on Churchill Way and also at the site of this application, Tesco's. So why else would Tesco's want to close the car park each evening because of antisocial behaviour in the very location that this site is proposed? This, I believe, would add a third such site, which would become a hotbed of antisocial behaviour. As mentioned at paragraph 6.5 of the committee report, why would a further crime prevention statement be required if this didn't have the potential to become a site where antisocial behaviour occurs? I don't believe I've seen this required in other applications in the borough, so the police must have some concerns around antisocial behaviour. The main issue with this is the guidance that is listed at point 10.6 on, which relates to the hot food takeaways being refused close to schools. I note that there are two primary schools in close proximity. There's Balshaw's up the road, there's St Mary's and Runshaw College. In my cynical view, this application has been placed here to target this, as I can't think of a worse place to put it in Leyland. 10.6 also talks about these applications being refused if they're outside designated town centres. Now, this assumes that the National Planning Policy guidance should be some sort of binary document where it either is or it isn't. So if this NPPF is binary, why is the planning committee being asked to consider the application in the first place? While the site might be designated in the local plan as a town centre, I could argue it's quite a loose description, as this site is the secondary retail, is on the very boundary of the town centre. And town centre really is Huff Lane and Towngate, not this location. There's very few shops in this area, and it's only retail because Tesco's is there. Notwithstanding this, paragraph 97 of the NPPF states that applications should be refused unless it's in a town centre or if there is evidence such uses can have an impact on childhood obesity, or if there's evidence that the site would have an effect on antisocial behaviour or a concentration of such uses. The or if is the important issue here. The fact that this site is loosely designated as part of the town centre is not a fait accompli that everything should be approved. This further paragraph stating or if states that All the childhood obesity indicators we have for my ward and the surrounding ones are that this is a significant issue. Also, as regards the massing of such sites, there are takeaways in this area at present, but they're small in size, but are absolutely dwarfed by this proposal. This takeaway would have the ability to serve as many people in an hour as possibly 5 times of what else in the locality can do combined. And the fact that it's situated so close to the number of schools where obesity is an issue can't be ignored, nor can issues be that I've already highlighted around antisocial behaviour. And for these reasons, it clearly falls into the definition of or if, where it can't be right that sites like this are just waved through without any consideration of the wider impacts. So I would urge my committee colleagues to refuse this application, as first of all, it's contrary, I believe, to paragraph 97 of the NPPF on the grounds of antisocial behaviour and the potential to affect the health of children in the vicinity. It's also next to a leisure centre. As it's a drive-through, there's a concentration of idling vehicles waiting for orders. There's concentration of vehicles on the car park manoeuvring slowly and idling, and the number of additional trips this needs to take it into consideration. As regards to noise levels, I can't see any details I can see details regarding cooling plan and such, but I haven't seen any consideration of idling vehicles, vehicles manoeuvring, noise from kiosks, slamming car doors, car radios, as the residents have already mentioned, and also the outside area of the restaurant as well, people shouting and screaming and antisocial behaviour that I've already talked about. And I feel it'd be really annoying to the local residents who aren't too far away. So I haven't gone too far into residential amenity because I haven't got time, but I'm hoping my committee colleagues will also raise this as an issue. As a reminder, as a ward councillor and also as a member of the planning committee, if I'd been there tonight, I'd have proposed refusal of this application. So thanks for giving me the opportunity to speak.
Okay, thanks, Councillor Williams. Thanks, Councillor Williams. I hope you enjoy the rest of your holiday. Debbie, if you'd like to comment on any of them, and then I'll open up to committee. This evening, you don't need to raise your hands, just press your buttons and you'll come up on the screen, okay? Debbie.
Thank you, Chair. I won't go into all the comments because I've already mentioned quite a few of them, but Councillor Williams mentioned that this was in committee because there may be issues. This is in committee because the Constitution requires hot food takeaways to come to the committee, not because there are issues or that it's been called in. I've already mentioned obesity and proximity of schools. They are not relevant in the town centre, and this is in the town centre. Antisocial behaviour, as Councillor Williams already mentioned, is already there. This is not good. There is no proof this will make this any worse or better. It is already there. And in terms of the police, for schemes of this nature, a crime impact assessment is standard practice. That's submitted by the applicant generally, and the police comment, which they did. Now, normally their comments are put on as informative notes onto any recommended scheme or recommended decision notice. The applicant didn't need to, but he addressed those comments in advance. Usually it's advice about things that aren't planning related but are necessary. The applicant didn't need to respond to those. He could have waited for those informative notes and dealt with it as part of construction. He didn't. He addressed it in advance. It wasn't a call for a second impact assessment. It was just addressing detail. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thanks for that, Debbie. Right, we'll open up to committee. I have Councillor Angela Turner.
Thank you, Chair. And thank you, Debbie, for the report. It's just a question about the bin policy. Okay, sorry.
Very remiss of me, that, Councillor Turner. I'll bring you in after I've invited the agent. I'm sorry I missed that. Do we have a Tom Roberts with us this evening? I'm sorry about that, Tom. I missed it on the script. Sorry, Ange. I'll bring you in straight after Tom. All right, Tom, you have 4 minutes to address the committee.
Yeah, thank you for that, Chair. Yeah, my name is Tom Roberts and I'm a Senior Planner from First Plan, the agent for the application. I would today represent the joint applicants, Burger King and Tesco, who are excited by the proposal, which seeks to erect a drive-through on an underutilised area of the car park at Tesco Extra in Leyland. The applicant has worked with the council since a pre-application was submitted in the beginning of 2024. The applicant considers there to be demand in the local area for a new restaurant of this type, which seeks to operate 70 covers with an associated drive-through element to supplement the existing food store and town centre. This proposal, if supported today, will bring at least 35 jobs to the site, as well as many jobs from the construction operation. I understand, and I've heard the concerns raised today. There has been support, but I do note the issues of noise and disturbance. The council's specialist environmental health officer has reviewed the proposal in detail, including the submission of a detailed noise impact assessment. On review of this technical report, they have deemed the proposal to be entirely acceptable with regard to the impact on residential amenity of neighbours and compatible with this location. This includes both the plant noise and operational noise that the development would cause. In addition, there have been a number of conditions, as Debbie highlighted, related to the hours of construction, operation and speaker levels, which are all enforceable and can be taken action should they fall outside of the parameters set out. This would ensure the amenity of neighbours is preserved. I should also note that the layout of the site has been designed to maximise spatial separation, making use of the strong landscape bank separating the development from Fox Lane. The proposal has sought to address concerns, and speakers and windows are directed away from the residents. All these measures will ensure that there are no harmful impacts will arise, which is confirmed by the planning and environmental health officers. There's been some debate and concern raised around the potential of antisocial behaviour, litter and waste. Lancs Police provided the applicant with a number of recommendations to seek to reduce the risk of these issues. In response, as Debbie highlighted, we submitted a crime impact plan to help minimise and manage out the potential for antisocial behaviour in line with the advice from the police. These include restrictions, security, lighting, CCTV and measures to prevent littering and regular communication with the police force. These measures are employed across Burger King's sites and will ensure that any such behaviour is kept to a minimum and managed out and will not be harmful to the surrounding area. As I mentioned before, the proposal, if approved today, will provide 35 jobs as well as supporting the construction industry in Leyland. Overall, we should strongly feel the proposals put forward will deliver the planning benefits and have also robustly and suitably responded to the concerns raised. We therefore request that the committee agree with the recommendations of officers and allow for the approval of this new restaurant. Thank you again.
Thanks very much for your presentation, Tom. I'm sorry I missed you out. It's on my script, but I just missed it. Sorry about that. Councillor Turner.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Debbie, for the report. I've only got two questions, actually. Number one regards the statement on 35 about the external waste bins. I'm getting the impression that they're just commercial bins, and I wanted to know if the waste plan has provision for normal bins where people could throw the wrappers in. That's the first question, because I can't see that. Second question is, am I right in concluding that you can't walk up to this place and order food? It is just a drive-in, as in you have to go in a car, or no, it's not, is it not? Okay. All right.
Through the chair, the waste management plan accounts for commercial and for regular waste, inside and out the site. And yeah, it's a drive-through, regardless of what people want to call it. It is a drive-through and a sit-in. So it's part drive-through, hot food takeaway, it's part restaurant. So you can walk up to it and you can eat. You can eat on the seating area outside. Thank you, Chair.
Is that all right, Councillor Turner? I have Councillor Mrs Green.
Do I press it again to speak? Or do you just speak?
If you press your button to speak, Councillor
working
Green,
now?
wait till it turns red.
Right, okay. Thank you. Right. Mainly, it's to concur on everything that's been said tonight. I appreciate that there are different reasons in planning where different issues are valued at different levels, depending on the location, etc. I can see where the residents are saying it's not a main commercial area. They're quite correct. Towngate and Enough Lane are the main real commercial areas. That's commercial because Tesco is there and not much else. And it is extreme in the fact, I know you're saying that schools aren't considered, but there isn't just one little school. There's St Andrews, there's Woodley Juniors, there's RAF cadets who are of a certain age, there's St Mary's High School, there's Balshaws, there's Runshaw. I mean, how many educational establishments do you need to have around a takeaway like this? It's obvious what's going to happen. I've seen them when they've gone into the chip shop at the Cross. There's only a few people go, but they go. But the fact of it being a takeaway, Burger King is quite a popular area for young people to hang around in and to hang outside. So I feel that this is a different thing. It's not just having a small school near a takeaway. It is going to affect a lot of schools. And the fact of obesity is a big problem in this country. And it's classed as youth-centric facilities in the report. So it's in the report as a youth-centric facility. And as has been said, the NPPF shows on paragraph 97, they're all walking distance of the schools. So, you know, I feel that it is an issue, whether the officers consider it or not. One of the main reasons as well has also been mentioned, the order, and also all hours of day, and the vermin. I have actually been in McDonald's car park and seen the rats, which are the size of perhaps a squirrel or something quite large, hanging around McDonald's under the hedges and in the car park. So I can imagine, you know, eventually this could happen there as well. So you've got that order and vermin issue, which is an impact on residential amenity, which is a planning reason for turning this down. One of the biggest things, though, is the ASBOs. I know for a fact the seating at McDonald's had to be removed from outside. The outside tables and seating had to be removed because of the ASBO issues in that area. It was a constant issue. It was a serious area for police to manage, with all the young ones, the problem they cause. Now they're contained inside, and if they're seen to loiter inside McDonald's, they are told after a certain time, if you're not buying or eating, you need to leave. So it is more controlled. But outside wasn't. They used to sit and mess around outside and cause problems. I've seen them even running on roofs of the shops across from McDonald's because they're playing around or hanging around that area. So this is potentially another thing that could happen there. The times I'm not really happy with. It's 8 till 11, 7 days a week. Yes, Tesco is till midnight Monday to Saturday, but they do close at 5 on Sunday. And I don't see really why we need to have this open while 11 o'clock on a Sunday evening. Give these residents a little bit of peace and quiet. You know, in the summer months, be able to sit in the gardens, enjoy the gardens. I feel that we're imposing another issue on residents. So again, it's residential amenity. So I'm totally against this. I'd like to propose refusal. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Green. I presume you're using policy G17?
Pardon? Yes, yes.
I presume you're using policy G17 neighbourhood needs. Yeah, okay, thanks. Okay, Councillor Pete Pillinger.
I hope this is, yeah, it is. Couple of questions and a concern. First question is, there is a diagram on page 5, which is an overhead photograph, where the red line seems to be different from that on the diagram on page 6. Is that because page 5 is the boundary during construction compared to a boundary after construction between the two? That's the first question. The second question is there any, I know it's 25 years or so since Tesco was given permission, are there any conditions on the development of Tesco that affect this land that are still in force as to, I mean, why was this car park as big in the first place? The third, I understand the legalities of all this, but the noise problem is not just from traffic noise or from the noise of the establishment. What really concerns me is the noise of vehicles with loud stereo systems. Traffic stops outside my house regularly, particularly during the summer, where vehicles have their windows open, and even in my back garden I get noise nuisance, particularly from the lower notes. With the stopping of 20 cars, possibly, queuing up to get to the hatch for this establishment, I think it's very unlikely, with the sort of establishment that it is, that there will not be cars with loud stereos blaring out that noise. And I really don't think that the distance between that and the houses nearby on Fox Lane, and it's their back gardens, their private space, and I just don't think that the distance is enough to stop the noise of a loud car stereo, because they are, I mean, some people have very loud car stereos that they like to share with everybody else, whether we like it or not. Thank you.
Debbie, if you would like to answer not 2 questions, but 3 questions.
In answer to all 3
In a less
questions.
convoluted way, if you can.
When you mention pages 5 and 6, you'll have to excuse me, I don't have the same agenda version as you. I assume you mean the photographs I've shown you?
Yes, on the extra.
Yeah. The red edge is a very rough guide of where the building and its car parking will be. I drew those. It's just to give you a rough idea from either side, so don't take anything from it. The plans are right. Tesco legalities, there are planning conditions on the Tesco permission. None of them relate to this scheme or would preclude this scheme. The legal side of it, covenants, that sort of thing, is not in our remit, so I've not checked that, but I assume Tesco have. And vehicle stereo systems. Now, there are 110 spaces there at the moment, which could be used by 110 cars with 110 stereo systems. There could be antisocial behaviour on those spaces. 96 of those will be lost to the building itself. So whilst there are vehicles that will go, and I'm not saying there won't be vehicles, there will be passing trade, and Lancashire County Council and Environmental Health are happy that the impact of those vehicles to this building won't be any different than the current situation. It's a car, if I can continue, it's a car park.
Can you please?
Yeah, can you please? Mr. English, I allowed you 4.5 minutes when you meant to have 4. And I allowed you, I was decent. Please let the officer speak. Okay? Thank you.
Just to finish, it is an existing car park. There are existing roads through that car park, and there is passing traffic that already goes there, regardless of your decision tonight. Thank you, Chair.
Councillor Pillinger, press your button, please.
That particular part of the car park has barriers that were put in to stop its use in the evenings. That presumably will cease with this development.
That, I don't know. I don't know. that's between Tesco and the applicant. I assume so. There are barriers on the opposite end of the car park. Maybe they will stay. I assume these will stop because they would stop vehicles coming in and out. But that's not part of what we're looking at tonight. Thank you.
Councillor Martin.
Thank you, Chair. I'll be brief. The only thing I haven't seen is the stack. Obviously, if anyone has visited the establishment in Cured and it bellows out, so it looks like they're speaking to people across the hills with the amount of smoke that comes out of it. So there's no indication of that on here. So I'm only going to assume that there's some other safer way of extracting some of the animal fats that are burnt off through that. And obviously, if it's a low down system, it's just the smells to the local residents as well. I mean, mixed with chips, I don't know if it's going to be that appetising and it's going to ruin your Sunday dinner. I appreciate that it's policy compliant, but that's the only bit that I can't see any mention of or any recommendations on how to mitigate from that, because obviously winds will dictate. If you're only 100 metres away from it or so, there could be an issue. Thank you.
Debbie, do you have any kind of...
Yeah. There is an odour impact assessment on the file, and that forms part of condition 2, I think it is, on this one. And there is also a condition requiring pre-commencement details of extraction, ventilation and mechanical equipment. So that's one that we would work through with the environmental health team to make sure they're working sufficiently and they are noise-free as we can get them. Thank you.
Councillor Martin, do you want to come back on that? No, you're happy with that? Right. Okay, so do we have anybody else want to speak? Councillor Smith.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. On the front page, I mean, I've got a paper copy here, the delineated lines around the area, the total area of the Tesco car park is delineated in blue, and I take it from that is all property or all land owned by Tesco, which is the normal way. Resident mentioned earlier on about some of this land was left for the residents of Leyland, and for those of us have been round a long time, I seem to recall something like that, to be quite honest, not knowing exactly what it was, but I just wondered whether, first of all, whether that delineated line is correct, and I'm sure the agent might be able to tell us perhaps if Debbie can't, and whether they can actually build on it. Thank you, Chair.
I'm sure you have the answer to that, Debbie, don't you?
I'll give it a whirl. As far as I am aware, and I've looked at it and I've checked where I can, the blue edge is right. I don't have access to the legal documents. I believe that the Tesco store has a long-term lease of the car park. From our point of view, all the right certification and all the right notices have been served. So from a planning perspective, everything is acceptable. The agent may be able to tell you that, or Alex, if he's got any further knowledge of the site itself from the tenancy lease side of things.
Yeah, it is a 999-year lease held by Tesco from the council, but as you say, the covenants are a civil issue, so they're not relevant to the planning assessment.
Okay, thanks for that, Alex. Councillor Smith?
Yes, I'm fine with that, providing obviously that if that is the case. 99 years lease, it's been there 20 years. It's got a few years left, hasn't it? Thank you.
999, Councillor Smith. 999. So yes, it does have a few. It does have a few years
I didn't
left.
quite get that bit, Chair,
Okay.
but thank you.
Do we have anybody else wishing to make any comments? Because we've only had one proposal. Councillor Lomax.
I wouldn't want it there, but we're not here to decide what we want and what we don't want. We are here to decide whether it is compliant with building regulations and planning regulations. And from what I can see, yes, it is. I really do understand your concerns. You know, and I stand up and I get it. I really get it. But that's not what we're here for. Yes, there probably will be extra rubbish. Yes, there will probably be some extra noise. But that's been looked at within the planning consultation, and what we're hearing tonight, it's compliant. Unfortunately, and I don't want to do this, I'm going to have to say that I move that we pass it.
Okay, Councillor Lomax, thanks for that. Okay, so we have had a proposal for refusal from Councillor Mrs Green. Do I have a seconder for refusal? No, okay.
Yep.
Councillor Smith, sorry, you came in a bit later.
Yeah,
It's
we're
this
not
new system.
It's all
New
right.
system.
We're not used to this new system yet.
Yeah.
Chair. It's all a bit slow. Yeah, I will second refusal, Chair. I think the impact on the residents will be substantial, and I just don't like it at all. And I guess I can understand why they want to build there on what is a disused piece of car park, but I think G17 is as Councillor Mary Green has said, is sufficient, and also the MPPF with regard to the schools in the area, I think is significant. I mean, I was parked at the top of the lane today, and there must have been 50 children walking up there across the road and across there. So I think that is significant in the MPPF. So for those reasons, Chair, and I think the general impact on residents in the area, with regard to noise and with regard to smells, and okay, it's not been proven that there will, but we all know that what has happened on that car park for a long time, Tesco car park. I can remember complaints going back year after year after year after year, and if at the moment they've died down, well, that's a good thing. I think we want to keep it that way. So I will second the proposal, Chair. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Councillor Smith. I'm just going to bring Lizzie in, who is the head of the whole shebang. Lizzie.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I just wanted to highlight and just to clarify with members what paragraph 97 of the MPPF says. So local planning authorities should refuse applications for hot food takeaways and fast food outlets that either are within walking distance of schools and other places where children and young people congregate, unless the location is within a designated town centre, which this is, or in locations where there is evidence that a concentration of such uses is having an adverse impact on local health, pollution or antisocial behaviour. And it's the officer's opinion that we don't have that evidence to justify that reason for refusal. So paragraph 97 of the MPPF, in our opinion, isn't a suitable reason. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thanks for that, Lizzie. I would just add as well that I don't think pupils at Woodley would be able to afford to go to Burger King. You can't get a burger for 99p at Burger King, that's why. Okay, so we've had a proposal for refusal from Councillor Mrs Green, seconded by Councillor Phil Smith on grounds of G17. I have had a proposal for approval as officer's recommendation from Councillor Chris Lomax. Do I have a seconder for Councillor Chris Lomax's? Councillor Martin.
Thank you, Chair. I'm going to second the proposal for approval, but I'd just like to add sort of like a bit of implore to the developer that they work with residents to try and mitigate some of their concerns and give an avenue where they can complain and action will be taken immediately. as far as other conditions we've heard, that they are acceptable and they're part of the policy. We can't go against the policy with it, because if it goes to appeal, it would just fall. And you get it, but you won't be in control of the conditions. So I think the conditions are suitable as they are. And on that caveat, I just hope the developer will take note, and especially if you look at the site in Cuerden, we don't want a replica of that either with the pollution. So I think as long as, and the other side of it, you mentioned the health side of it, there's no reason why the developer can't promote a healthy eating strategy as well. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Councillor Martin. Any other members of committee wishing to comment on this? So we had a proposal for refusal from Councillor Mrs Green, seconded by Councillor Smith. Then we had an amended proposal for approval by Councillor Lomax.
Chair, could you press my button to come back? Just to make a
I
comment.
was tying up, but go on, I'll allow it.
Yeah, well, it's not a comment, it's a request. If this happens to get passed this evening, is there any way the conditions could be looked at to shorten the hours on a Sunday evening? That's all I'm saying, thank you.
Debbie, any comment?
I can only propose what the applicant has said, and our consultees have no objection to that. The change of hours need to be done now rather than later, which will be, I think, a little bit more difficult. It's possible. It's up to committee.
Right. Councillor Pillinger.
I think the soundproofing of the bank between the properties, the domestic properties, and this establishment will be inadequate, and I wonder if the developer would consider a substantial soundproof barrier between the development and the properties that are likely to be affected.
Tom, would you like to address committee on that comment or not? They are. Okay, thanks, Tom. Thank you. So,
We can still oppose it if you want.
right, so I've just been advised if members want to add an acoustic fence between the property and the residential properties on Fox Lane, that is in your remit, you can do that. Okay? The opening hours, I don't think they're up for discussion, Councillor Green.
I would propose that soundproof fence.
Lizzie, would you like to come in again?
Yeah, I'm just going to bring Debbie in because Debbie knows the site and she'll be able to advise on that point.
It's just to confirm about the soundproof barrier. There is already a good height featherboard fence. There is shrubbery. There is a deep grass bund. I think to put another acoustic fence or another soundproof fence on this side of the Tesco's car park really is unrealistic. I don't think it's necessary. There is enough soundproofing to cover what is essentially a bungalow height building behind a fence. Thank you, Chair.
However, Debbie, it is in this committee's actual remit to request that, as you are well aware. So if that is what committee wish to do, that is entirely up to you, ladies and gentlemen. It's out of, I'm just chairing the committee, so it is policy compliant as it stands. However, for the good of the residents that you represent in this borough, if you wish for an acoustic fence to be erected, that is in your remit, you can call that. So you will propose that as part of. So anyway, let's get back to the nitty-gritty. You're all finished now. That's the end of the debate. Okay. Oh, Councillor Bretherton, welcome to the party.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Just to remind us that, for example, if this was refused, then the applicant would have the right to go to appeal. And then what happens at the appeal stage?
what would happen at the appeal stage.
And who pays for the costs of all that?
We do. Because, in my opinion, and Councillor Smith will tell you after many years, as will Councillor Mrs Green, when an officer recommends approval and we just become emotional, listen to the residents and let planning policy go through the window, the applicant will appeal, without a doubt. The people from Bristol will come up here who've probably never been to Leyland in their lives, and they will look at the actual paperwork, listen to the applicant, and they will find in the applicant's favour.
And can you give me an example of what that cost would be? What's the typical cost to us, to the council?
We'll charge you, Councillor Bretherton, we'll charge you. Debbie?
I don't know. Everyone is on its merits, but they can start at the tens of thousands upwards.
So it could be...
It depends what the scheme is and what type of defence we need to put up.
Yeah, so these are quite well established big applicants. I'm sure they've had the best legal advice on making that application, and I'm sure that legal advice is very expensive. So it could cost the council tens and tens and tens of thousands of pounds. That's the rate pay. The taxpayers, yeah. Okay, thank you.
All right, Councillor Bretherton. I mean, that was really by the by. Right, so we've had a refusal from Councillor Mrs Green, seconded by Councillor Smith, an amended proposal for approval by Councillor Lomax, seconded by Keith Martin, but we could condition it with the addition of the acoustic fence, couldn't we? So, with that addition to the conditions, the acoustic fence, the erection of an acoustic fence, I'm going to take the amended proposal for approval from Councillor Lomax. This is so we can now go to the vote. Councillor Turner, are you all right? You're looking a bit puzzled.
Sorry, I am confused. I apologise. So I need to make sure this is right because I know it's a really sensitive issue, this. So we're going to vote now for the approval of the application. Right, got it. Okay.
Yeah, because... with the fence, because Councillor Turner, Councillor Mrs Green proposed refusal.
I get it, I'm sorry.
Yeah, and then Councillor Lomax proposed an amendment. We're voting on the amendment because that's just what the Constitution says.
So, Chair, if I would like an acoustic fence, because it would help the residents, but I still want to refuse the application, which way would have a...
Well,
I don't want to refuse saying I don't want a fence,
so,
you know what I mean?
Right, so, Councillor Green, you proposed refusal even before the acoustic fence went in, didn't you? So
and that still stands?
It still stands, but we're not voting on the refusal first because there was an amendment made by Councillor Lomax. I know it's very convoluted, but it's just the way the Constitution works. So what we're voting on now is approval with an acoustic fence, which was proposed by Councillor Lomax, seconded by Councillor Martin, and that is what we're voting on. Approval with conditions, okay? You all happy with that? Good.
Sir, can I have just 1 minute to say something?
No.
Because we're watching that place 7 days a week. I know something more about it.
I'm sorry, but you haven't registered to speak, so... No, you haven't registered to... The answer is no, okay? With all due respect, the answer is no, thank you. Okay, so we are going to the vote for approval with conditions of the acoustic fence.
Thank you, Chair. Members have voted to approve the application subject to conditions and a further condition to require the installation of an acoustic fence between the site and Fox Lane.
Okay, thanks very much for that. If you were just here for that application, if you don't want to hang around for the rest of the meeting, if you would like to leave, please, thank you. Okay, ladies and gents, item number 7 this evening, 16A Liverpool Road, Penwortham. Lisa, if you would like to present this rather juicy item, thank you.
Thank you, Chair. So the application site relates to the first floor commercial property located on the corner of Liverpool Road and Priory Lane, and Penwortham at the crossroads with a junction with Cop Lane. The property is currently in use as a beauty salon, accessed via a staircase on the ground floor, fronting onto Liverpool Road, which is to the immediate east of the ground floor. So this is just a blown up aerial image before you. I know that there has been some recent applications over the last 12 months which have been heard at Planning Committee for Craft and Crust and Bread and Butter and 60 on the Hill in particular, so you should be familiar with those recent additions. Just going to point out that under the new constitution this application wouldn't be before us, but because it was validated prior to that coming in, we took the view that it should come to Planning Committee for that reason. So on this image here, you could just see at the right-hand side of the canopy area where you have got the door on the ground floor, which leads to a staircase upstairs to the existing commercial premises. So the application is a change of use application into a cafe bar with a function room, etc., as laid out in detail in the committee report.
They're all gone. Oh, sorry.
So these are some images of the side of the premises. So on the upper floor you can see that there's window there, and just to point out the existing extraction systems on the adjoining property as well. So the application is a full application for the change of use as outlined. There's no proposed alterations to the external elevations of the property. Whilst it has been indicated there may be an extraction system, the details and specifications of that hasn't been provided within the application, so a pre-commencement condition is sought and is included within the conditions listed. There's been no representations made to the application following notifications in a site notice, and there's no objections from any of the statutory consultees. A number of conditions have been attached to the proposed recommendation for approval, and these relate to waste, opening hours, which are in line with the premises on the ground floor in terms of the hours in the evening. Windows to control amenity are required to be shut at 10 p.m. in the evening, which is also in line with a number of the other premises. So the application before us is recommended for approval subject to a number of conditions as set out in the report. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thanks, Lisa. So we have no registered speakers in favour or objecting. The ward councillor isn't speaking and the applicant and agent isn't speaking. So over to you, ladies and gentlemen.
Propose it's passed, sir. I propose it is passed, sir.
Thanks, Councillor Pillinger. We spend all this money on all this high-tech stuff, and he puts his hand up and shouts. Right, so that is a proposal for approval, Councillor Pillinger.
Pardon?
Okay, do we have a seconder for approval?
I'll accept
Give up.
I'll second it.
Give up.
That has been seconded by Councillor Bretherton. Oh, Councillor Smith, did you want to speak?
I did as well.
No, it's okay, Chair.
Councillor Turner?
Thank you, Chair. I'm happy to approve this application as long as a condition is put on it that, if I can just draw everybody's attention to the, well, it doesn't matter which of the top pictures you look at. You see where the blue bins are on the pavement, just outside, and the traffic light is just a bit further on. Well, okay, sorry, I can't see from here. Okay, I would like to propose the condition that delivery vans do not park there, half on the pavement, half on the road, crossing the zebra crossing, blocking the traffic lights, which presents a risk to both pedestrians and traffic. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Turner. Are there double yellow lines I can see there? Yeah. I don't think they should be able to park there anyway, should they?
They can load on double yellow.
Can you put that condition on for us, Lisa?
Yeah, we can have a look at that. I was just going to point out on the side, the blue items on waste paper bins. You can see on some of the photographs on the earlier image where you've got on the frontage there on the top left-hand corner, it is defining the seated area in sort of screens.
It's nothing to do with the point I was making.
Yeah.
I just thought they were blue bins. I was trying to use it as a reference point. Thank you.
So can we condition that, Lisa, on this application?
Yeah, we could insert an extra condition in terms of deliveries and hours in terms of the locations as well, to try and deflect from that.
Okay, thanks for that, Lisa. Councillor Bretherton.
Sorry, I apologise, I forgot to switch it off from before.
So you're not putting your hand up then?
No.
Right, so I've had a proposal for approval with conditions from Councillor Pillinger, Councillor Lomax.
Just to say, and I hate to say this, Angie, are you not allowed to load and unload on double yellow lines for business purposes?
You can.
I think the answer to that's no, Councillor Lomax. How many meetings are going on here today?
32.
Right. So I think the answer is no, Councillor Lomax. Did I take it that you'd seconded this proposal for approval or not? I'll bring in Councillor Bretherton because he's a sub and we like to use him when he's here.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to second it because I think it'll be a good use of the area. They'd be ashamed if they've lost a business. They'd be ashamed just to leave the place empty. It's a thriving place, High Pemberton. There's been a lot of activity in recent years. It's becoming a very attractive destination for people that want a night out, and I think this will just add to the amenities in the area. So that's the reason why I'm seconding it. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Councillor Bretherton. I've just been made aware of the fact that if you're loading or unloading, you can park on double yellow lines.
No loading signs.
Unless the restrictions are in place. But, I mean, we could... What?
We can put the condition on.
Yes, if you like. We can put that condition on, can't we, Lisa? I thought that was up to the highways and that's not us, but if we can put that condition on, let's get it put on. Yeah? Right, okay, let's close the debate down. We've had... have we got any other proposals?
Come on, bring me
Councillor Martin.
Thank you. I'd like to propose that... Oh, it's already been done. I did wait patiently for this to happen. Ben Wilmer, with work of the local councils and the councils around that area, we've done a lot of work to sort of improve that area, and it's good to see something slightly different to that. So I would wholeheartedly propose that we accept this, and I would have proposed it if someone looked at the list first. Thank you.
We'll get there.
These substitutes always cause trouble, don't they? And in fact, Councillor Martin, I agree with you. I think Penwortham Town Council and the council as a whole have done a fantastic job on Liverpool Road. It's wonderful to go there. It is. So, all right, so we've had a proposal for approval, Councillor Pillinger, seconded by Councillor Bretherton. Can we go to... Unless nobody wants to... Yeah, let's go to the vote, please.
Thank you, Chair. Members have voted unanimously to approve the application subject to conditions and a further condition relating to locations of delivery and times of delivery.
Okay, thanks very much, Alan.